acting on the basis that they will.
Now, you've been in the Chancellor's shoes. Were you to be George Osborne today, what would be your main concern? What would be keeping you awake at nights?
I would be concerned about British banks if they either hold Greek debt, which is rubbishy debt now, and the bankers were very foolish if they took it believing what the Eurozone people were saying, that it would be worth what it said. And you have a contingency plan for preventing any British banks from going bust.
To what extent do you think that debt now is going to be either written down or written off? I mean, if you've got €100 of Greek debt on your balance sheet, is it worth €95, €50, €1?
They ought to start a secondary market and see what the market says it's worth. It would be worth a great deal less than it is standing in the books of the banks at the present time.
Had Greece not joined the euro, would this crisis have been so bad?
I think it wouldn't have come maybe quite so quickly. Greece shouldn't have joined the euro. They made conditions for joining the euro. With the aid of Goldman Sachs, the Greeks cooked the books, they fiddled the figures, and they got in that way, and everybody knew that. It was, again, an extraordinary thing to allow that to happen. But there are other countries. It's not just the Greeks. There are other countries that really can't keep up with the Germans and the others in cost control and so on.
You've been at the top table of these negotiations in the past. How did that happen? Why was there this collective suspension of disbelief about Greece? What were they hoping to achieve by looking away from the numbers that just about everybody knew were bogus?
It is a very good question, and the answer is that they were not interested in the reality. They have this vision of a European federation which is a complete political union. They thought that this would somehow help to bring it about. It would force the political union which they've always wanted to see. And this can't happen. It's not going to happen. As I say, the peoples, not just of Greece and of Britain and other, but of France and Germany, they don't want it. Nobody wants it, except a group of politicians for whom this has been a driving political goal. And as I say, we've got to get around the table in the European Union and say no more irresponsible moves towards a European Union of this kind, because look what happens. It is that we can't have this again. There's a lesson to be learned which goes wider than the question of currencies and banks.
The fact that Greece borrowed too much, overspent, we all know that, it circumvented taxes. Why has the day of reckoning taken so long? How have they been able to live this illusion?
They were able to live this illusion because bankers were stupid enough to lend them huge amounts at low rates of interest, feeling there was no special risk. They believed what the European politicians had told them, that it was all one currency and there was no more risk in Greek bonds or Greek debt than there was with German or French.
It sounds so simple when you put it like that. But it really was a very unsophisticated analysis, wasn't it? I mean, if you look at the Greek economy and Greek behaviour, and then you look at the German economy and German behaviour, they are starkly different.
That's right. It is extraordinary, and I think the bankers who loaded themselves up with Greek debt, believing it would be worth €100.
Do you think they believed there would always be a bailout?
I think they believed that the politicians would always do a bailout, and I think they should pay the penalty, these banks. I mean, the banks have got to be rescued for the sake of the economy as a whole, for the sake of the depositors, where there are deposits in the banks, but the bankers should not be rescued. The bankers should lose their jobs with no compensation if their bank goes belly up. I hope that most banks won't, but those that do, because they made this wrong call, they should be treated very, very toughly indeed.
I'm sure our viewers will be saying, here, Lord Lawson, many thanks. Nice
Thank
to see
you, Jeff.
On Sky News for iPad, you'll find full details of the austerity measures at the heart of the Greek protests, video blogs from our team in Athens, and graphs showing how badly hit the UK would be if Greece were to default on its loans. This is Jeff Randal Live, coming up after the break. Greek debt. We'll examine whether the French rollover plan could ease the pain. And the first woman to head the IMF, Christine Lagarde, takes the top seat.